Now to Euro 2024, where France's parliamentary elections are looming over Les Bleus' preparation for their opening game against Austria later today. Midfielder Marcus Thuram had already spoken out against France's far right over the weekend. And when asked about the legislative elections on Sunday, France's captain Kylian Mbappe spoke about his fears of the rise of extremes, saying that his country is facing unprecedented circumstances, and he called on young people to get out and vote.
I'd like to address all the French people, especially the younger generation. We are a generation that can make a difference. Today, it's clear that the extremes are on the doorstep of power. We have the opportunity to choose the future of our country. And that's why I'm calling on all young people to go out and vote, to really realise the importance of the situation. We need to identify with values of diversity, tolerance and respect.
And for more on the Euros and to talk about the geopolitical implications of the European Championships and football in general is Tobias Finger, Research Associate at the FANZinE project. Good morning, Tobias. We have seen how countries in other parts of the world, such as Qatar and Saudi Arabia, have scrambled to host the World Cup in an effort to project soft power. Is there any comparative incentive for European countries to host tournaments like this, given that they are fairly costly undertakings?
Yeah, of course you could say so. It makes sense for democratic countries to showcase democracy and how tournaments can work in democratic countries. Showcase also bringing people together and hosting tournaments for everyone, for connection, for exchange and for interaction between fans from different nationalities.
And the last time Germany hosted a major men's tournament was the World Cup in 2006. And at that time, Germans famously overcame their decade-long aversion to flag waving, which more or less had been in place since the end of the Second World War. Now, 18 years on, nationalism is not such a dirty word for a large minority of the population. What impact do you think the rise of the far right might have on this tournament?
Well, we will have to see, actually. It's still early on in the tournament. We'll have to see what the rise of the far right might mean, how it might impact the tournament. But, of course, it's important that, like the French players have done, players but also associations and officials take their platform, use their reach to also promote the values that they represent, that they stand for, and speak out. That's really important, and we saw that already, and we will probably see it again during this tournament, I will imagine.
And UEFA, in qualifying campaigns, has a tendency to avoid some countries that have for instance, geopolitical disputes from playing against one another. Examples might be Spain and Gibraltar or Armenia and Azerbaijan. Now, this isn't really possible in an actual tournament like the Euros, where it's pretty much set in stone, the fixtures. Are there any potential political flashpoints we could see in the coming weeks?
I mean, definitely there are some political flashpoints we might see. Serbia and Albania are both qualified for the tournament. We'll have to see how far they can get out of the group stage, maybe if they can make it out of the group stage, but that would definitely be more interesting to see how it plays out. But there's also teams like Ukraine or Georgia, which definitely are in interesting points in their political developments. And we will see how that plays out in the tournament and what political opinions will be voiced maybe in the stands by the fans, whether UEFA will even permit these political opinions to be voiced, because UEFA has a fairly restrictive stance on political opinion in the stadiums. And we will see what the players maybe might have to say about issues.
And speaking on the matter of the Ukraine war, one fallout of that has been the absentees from the Euros of Russia. And they're missing the tournament for the first time in 40 years, if we include the Soviet Union. They have been suspended from all competitions by UEFA. A few countries on the continent want to play them. But is there any chance that Russia might look elsewhere to play football if this continues on for much longer? For instance, by going to Asia, where they've got quite a few allies there.
I mean, it is possible, but so far I don't think it's an actual opportunity or an actual plan. It's also the case that, of course, there would be some regulatory obstacles. That would be a longer process. But also for Russia, I think it would mean basically to concede to these restrictions or the sanctions put on them, because Europe, in terms of sporting competitiveness, is the place to be. And voluntarily stepping out of Europe and moving over to Asia, that would not be the smartest step sporting-wise and prestige-wise for Russia.
And Philipp Lahm, who was, of course, Germany's World Cup winning captain in 2014, and he is now the chair of the Euro 2024 organising committee. He has said there will be 75 fewer plane trips compared to the 2016 tournament in France. And he said that purchased tickets come with free public transport in the whole city for 36 hours for fans with tickets. Now, is this a sign that football is going green, or is it perhaps maybe greenwashing, so to speak?
Well, football has to go green eventually. Football has tried to do everything to go greener and grow more sustainable and reform its structures and also, how people travel. There are definitely lots of people researching this and making very, very smart suggestions, and it's important. And it also showcases once again how football and how sport in general is political and how it is embedded in a political landscape. Also when it comes to the climate crisis, the impeding and ongoing climate crisis, where football and sports have definitely a responsibility to act accordingly and try and prevent worse things from happening, or do their part to maybe improve the situation and progress in the right direction.
Thank you very much for that, Tobias Finger, Research Associate at the FANZinE project in Berlin.